Well, you have two kinds of what we might call montage. I think we call it cutting. It isn't exactly that. Cutting implies severing something. It really should be called assembly. Mosaic is assembling something to create a whole. Montage means the assembly of pieces of film which, moved in rapid succession before the eye, create an idea. Of course, the most elementary form is the juxtaposition of imagery in various sizes. You know, a lot of people think that cutting is, or we'll say montage or assembly, is taking a man from one place to another and jumping into a close-up of him, which Griffith invented, it's true. But to me, it goes much deeper. And as I say, the picture Psycho contained quite an amount of cinematic approach to this, to its basic content. In the first place, we had in it the murder of a woman in a shower, of a nude woman. Now, as you know, you could not take the camera and just show a nude woman being stabbed to death. It had to be done impressionistically. So it was done with little pieces of film. The head, the feet, the hand, the parts of the torso.
Shadow on the curtain.
Everything, you see, was used. The shower itself. I think in that scene there were 78 pieces of film in about 45 seconds. Now, that's one kind. Now we'll take another kind, which I would prefer to call, say, the orchestration. Loud notes, soft notes, and so forth. The second murder in Psycho was treated quite differently. It showed a detective coming up the stairs, the audience already aware that a monster was around. So they were apprehensive for him, but they didn't know when it was going to happen. So I have this man mounting the stairs in what we would call a medium shot, a waist shot. And he gets to the top of the stairs. Then I take the camera and put it very, very high, way, way high, above the ceiling almost, as though we're looking down on the whole thing. And a little figure runs out with a raised knife. And the hand goes up with the knife into the air and starts to bring it down. Now remember, these are two tiny figures. Then the next cut is a big head of the man as the knife goes across his face. Now, this is size of image put together to create shock. In other words, if it were music, it would be tremolos on the violin and suddenly a brass instrument, which is the big close-up. And from that he fell and went back. So there's an illustration of using the size of the image to create shock, or whatever you will. Now the third way is what one might call pure cinematics, the assembly of film, and how it can be changed to create a different idea. Now we have a close-up. Let me show what he sees. Let's assume he saw a woman holding a baby in her arms. Now we cut back to his reaction to what he sees, and he smiles. Now what is he as a character? He's a kindly man. He's sympathetic. Now, let's take the middle piece of film away, the woman with the child, but leave his two pieces of film as they were. Now we'll put in a piece of film of a girl in a bikini. He looks, girl in a bikini, he smiles. What is he now? The dirty old man. He's no longer the benign gentleman who loves babies. That's the difference. That's what film can do for you.
Or you for it, as it were. Now, let's talk about some of the writers who worked with you on the screenplays of your films. Among them, Thornton Wilder, Arthur Lawrence, Dorothy Parker, Robert Sherwood, Maxwell Anderson. Which kind of writer do you find best suited for creating a film script, the playwright or the novelist?
I would say the playwright rather than the novelist is more important, because you need scenes, playing scenes. There's people who are from the theater who can write playing scenes for you.
They've learned that compression and essential
compression
flow
is very, 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 very important. After all, who was it once said that drama is life with the dull bits cut out? So compression and economy belongs to the playwright. It doesn't belong to the novelist. You know, he can go on for 1,000 pages.
Quite so. Well, let us go on to further pictorial aspects of filmmaking. You first used color in Rope, I believe, and 10 of the 15 films you've made since then have been in color, though many producers seem to believe that a thriller should always be filmed in black and white. Which do you prefer?
I prefer color because there's plenty to dramatize in the color. By not using color until you need it dramatically.
In the same way, music is often valuable.
Sure, I think music's very good, especially when it's needed for silence.
The absence of it.
Yes, of course.
Obviously, you think very highly of the work of Bernard Herrmann.
I certainly do.
He's been involved as composer and conductor of the music in so many of your recent films. How do you and Mr. Herrmann go about examining the contribution of music to a film?
Well, I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, he does as he likes.
I'm brought in at the very beginning of the idea of the film. And by the time it has gone through all its stages of being written and rewritten and the final process of photographing it, I'm so much part of the whole thing that we've all begun to think one way.
But I've always found with musicians that you're in their hands anyway. What can you do? So very often I've been asked, not necessarily by Mr. Herrmann, but other musicians, they say, come down, I want you to know what you think of this. And you go down and you say, well, I don't care. I say, well, we can't change it, it's all scored. So the next time you take good care to say, well, can you play me some and let me hear some of it before you go to the expense of an orchestra? Oh, no, you can't. You can't play it on a piano. It's not possible. So that there is no way to find out. So you are in the hands of a musician.
Well, Psycho is a very good example of the, if I might put it, the freedom with which Hitch thinks about music. Originally, the plan was, in our discussions, not to have any music over any of the murder scenes. However, I differed with Hitch about this and felt that music was needed. And when the music was recorded and we were dubbing the film, when we got to the murder scenes, we ran the scenes without music. And then I suggested to Hitch that I would like to show him the same scenes with music. And he said, I thought that we had agreed not to have any. And I said, well, we can have it that way, but at least listen to the way I feel about it and the way I've written it. So we ran it with the music, and he said immediately, we must have the music, of course. And I said, but you were against it. He said, oh, no, all I made was a poor suggestion. Hitch has his own world of film, and he's created characters and places and stories for it, very much in the way Dickens did. It's not a question of whether it is a real world or an actual world, but it's a world that has been imagined and realized. Dickens was able to do it through the page, and Hitch does it through this film. And although many of the stories that he has told are stories of our time, I believe the way of presentation and the motivating psychology is essentially of the period of Dickens and the great Victorian writers. Psycho is very much, for example, like a Wilkie Collins story. I think this is part of Hitch's great heritage as an Englishman, and one that he's been able to transmute and to carry forward in the world of the cinema.
En Psicosis, tomemos el asesinato y apuñalamiento de la chica en la ducha del baño. Esta escena dura 45 segundos, pero está compuesta por 78 fotogramas, pasando rápidamente a través del proyector y proyectándose en la pantalla a gran velocidad. Pero la impresión general que tiene el público es la de la alarmante y devastadora escena de un asesinato. Eso ha de escribirse en papel. En otras palabras, no puedes aparecer en el plató sin más. Podrías si quisieras, pero no te lo recomiendo. Es preferible escribir toda la escena, escribir todos los detalles, por pequeños que sean. Han de ser escritos al igual que un compositor escribe las notas en el pentagrama, de las que luego sacará una preciosa melodía. ¿Qué tenemos? Tenemos a una chica que ha robado $40.000 y que sin motivo aparente es atacada por una mujer con un cuchillo cuando estaba en la ducha. Esto supone una gran sorpresa, ya que hemos estado dirigiendo la atención del público hacia los $40.000 robados. Pero de pronto tenemos un giro brutal en la escena de la ducha. Desde ese momento en adelante el público está lleno de aprensiones. Pero a medida que se desarrolla la película, la violencia desciende paulatinamente. El factor añadido se trata de que en algún lugar de esta casa victoriana hay una figura amenazante con un cuchillo. El público sabe que existe, pero no sabe por dónde aparecerá. Puedes utilizar el escenario de una casa moderna siempre que el público sepa que la muerte acecha. Me considero lo que llaman un purista respecto al cine. Todo lo que puedo. No me siento inclinado hacia lo subjetivo. En otras palabras, utilizar el punto de vista de un individuo, tomando un primer plano del actor, luego mostrando lo que está mirando y regresando al primer plano de la persona para ver su reacción. Resumiendo, estás transfiriendo la amenaza de la pantalla a la mente del público. Antes de alcanzar el clímax, el suspense se incrementa hasta el punto en el que para los espectadores la visión de una chica moviéndose por la casa se les hace insoportable.